No, Mansour, don't run. Mansour, I just answered your point. Now don't run away from the question. Mansour, what does it mean for Allah to have two right hands?
Only one of those views can be true. Either God is divinely complex or is divinely simple. Those are the only two views.
No.
Oh, there is not. Present another view. Go ahead, tell me.
A Jewish person, that's right. I'm giving you a Jewish person in their tradition that understands it this way, and now you're crying that it's not good enough for you. It doesn't matter. Their tradition says that you understand it this way. Now we don't understand the Bible through sola scriptura, guys.
This philosopher, they have a philosophical, ideological outlook already, and they want to then put their Let me finish. They want to then put their philosophical outlook on the text. We have these in our traditions. The Mu'tazilites did the same thing. They adopted these philosophical positions and trying to explain and understand the Quran and the divine attributes according to already accepted philosophical position they had. And that's why the Orthodox Muslims rejected them and said, it is not acceptable. This kind of your explanations is not in line with what the text says.
Bro, your tradition also makes metaphysical claims.
Likewise,
for example, the tradition of Afri Islam teaches that Allah's attributes are really distinct.
Jewish people, like the disciples, when they heard about God and how God does things, they were ordinary people, not philosophers. They did not understand the way philosophers are back projecting what it means. They understood in its apparent meaning. So when Moses was told by God,
how do you prove that?
When Moses was told by God, look at the example.
Just let me talk to him.
Let me go back again.
What he's saying is that the layman don't
The Lord
there is a
continued.
tradition, a philosophical
The Lord of Moses
how
continued.
we actually understand it.
There is a
Because
place
he's
near
trying to
me where
read
you
the
have to
Bible
stand
through
upon a
sola
rock.
scriptura.
Is rock metaphorical? Of course not. It's physical. And when my glory passes by, and I put you in a cleft of the rock, and cover with my hand until I have passed by. So there's passing by, covering with the hand, then I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen. All of this tells you, this has nothing to do with metaphorical. So much clue in the text. God is passing by and saying, I will hide myself with the hand, so you won't see my face, but you can see my back part as I go away because I'm only hiding my face. You, the proponents of divine simplicity, can't explain this text.
Okay, I'm going to explain the text. Mansour, okay, finish, but then do me the same courtesy.
You bring out explanations of these philosophers much later when they developed this Greek philosophy.
Just let me respond.
And
Let me
they said this is how we should understood it. This is not how Moses understood it. So my question to you, from that text itself, Thomas, tell me, where are the clues in which you would understand this to be metaphorical?
Okay, the fundamental problem with Mansour's point is he's assuming we read the Bible only through the text itself. We have an apostolic tradition, we're not Protestants, so we can understand the Bible through a philosophical lens and through an apostolic lens of the fathers of the church age. Now Mansour's trying to presuppose an Islamic Afri lens over scripture, but people, what makes more sense? That Allah has two right hands, and when someone asks you, what does that mean? You say, Allahu alam. That's a non-cognitive statement. That's essential to saying Allah has blah, blah, blah. But when we say that God has a hand or a body, we say it's an analogical statement. It essentially is a metaphor. It doesn't mean that God has a physical body. Why? Because the writers of the apostolic age give us this interpretation, and also the philosophers as well. But Mansour doesn't understand this because he thinks that he's debating Protestants who hold to sola scriptura right now. But we don't hold to that. So Mansour, let me ask you, when the Quran says, or the Hadith, say Allah has two right hands, what does that mean?
Hang on. Let's go back to the
we're trying to assess whose statements make more sense. What does it mean?
So instead of,
what does it mean for Allah to have two right hands? Because it doesn't say that in the Hadith. It doesn't say that in the Quran.
Do you think he's
His
dumb?
scholars say that.
Do you think he's dumb?
Much
Then why are you getting involved?
Much smarter.
Why are you getting
You
involved?
don't understand. You're not
Okay.
listening.
So now,
Okay,
well, it
Mansour,
looks
Mansour,
like-
what
it
does it
looks
mean
like
for
you are
Allah to have
incapable
two right hands?
No, it seems
I
like you
answered your
are-
question.
It looks
I
like
just
you are
answered your
incapable of
question.
having a discussion with me.
I just answered your question. Okay, you want to run away because someone answered you and now you're running away.
Your friend thinks
No,
you are
Mansour,
so dumb
Mansour,
that
don't
you are
run.
incapable of having a
Mansour,
discussion with me.
Mansour, I just answered your point. Now don't run away from the question. Mansour, what does it mean for Allah to have two right hands?
So,
What does it mean for Allah to have two right hands?
you know me very well.
Yes.
Stop
No one's shaking.
shaking.
Mansour, what does it mean for Allah to have two right hands?
Stop shaking.
Stop with the sophistry. What does it mean for Allah to have two right
asked you-
hands?
So I am answering.
Okay, I
asked
answered you. Now answer
No,
me.
no,
What does it mean for Allah to have two right
Let's
hands?
understand how you answered. I asked you, what is the clue or indication in the text that I read from the Old Testament?
And I answered by saying that's a
You're
false
interrupting.
category. Then I asked you a
You're
question.
interrupting, Thomas.
Because it's a
Stop
false
shaking
category.
and let me speak.
No one cares about shaking, bro. No one cares.
Zoom
That's
into your
called
hand.
sophistry.
Zoom into your hand.
That's called sophistry.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Good.
That's sophistry. Mansour's
So-
appealing to a crowd to say Thomas is shaking, therefore his argument is false. That's called sophistry, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Aristotle speaks against. He's a sophist. When Mansour says, Thomas,
I
show
said-
me from the text
Where
where it
in
says
the
that it's
text?
analogical.
Where in the
It's
text?
a false
There are
category
clues.
because we don't believe
Did
that
your
we're
friend
only
show me?
interpreting it from
What
the
was it?
text.
So first of all, he said that you're presupposing what's called sola scriptura.
No,
We
I
do
said
not
clues.
read- Yes.
Yes, that's
Sola
sola
scriptura.
scriptura.
Yes, it is.
That's sola scriptura, my friend. You're presupposing
clue is?
Okay,
that.
I'm going to slow it down for you.
Do you know what a clue is
I
from
know
the
what a
text?
clue is. I know what a clue is.
Tell me what it is.
So a clue could be a signifier. Do you know what that is? Clue could be a signifier.
Yeah.
So there's going to be significations of words. You see the word my? What is the word my signify? When it says the word my, what is the word my?
Belonging to
signify?
someone.
My, but who? Who?
Yeah, my meaning God here.
Okay, so God. Does God exist? Does God exist?
Yes.
So God has an essence, right? Right?
Continue. So you're explaining the clues, right?
Hold on, yeah.
Go
So,
ahead.
so the word
I'm
my.
not going to say anymore.
Okay.
Explain the clue.
Okay, calm down, calm down. So the word my signifies to God's essence, right? Now, if God actually exists.
By the way, I'm not saying yes or
Hold
no
on.
anything.
Okay.
You
okay.
are telling me
You
the
keep
clues.
Interrupting me.
Go
You
ahead.
keep interrupting me. Calm down.
No,
So
no,
the
what,
word-
wait, stop.
You keep.
I am
interrupting me.
saying.
Wait, you
the
interrupted
reason
him
why
again.
I'm not
You're
saying yes or
interrupting
no
me again.
because I want you to
understand
establish
that.
it.
I understand
Go
that.
ahead.
You said that 4 times so far.
No, I didn't say 4 times.
What? 4, 5, whatever. I don't care. Look, you ready?
Continue.
The word my signifies to God. God exists and God has a particular type of ontology, right? The way in which you understand God's ontology, which is the only way, is through divine simplicity. So
That's a jump.
It's not a jump. If the word my signifies to God, hold on, I'll make it very simple for you. If the word my,
what you
you
realize?
keep
God has
interrupting
powers.
me. I didn't jump and I'll show it to you again.
Can I
Stop
interrupt
interrupting
you?
me.
Can
Give me
I-
a second. Let me just finish what I'm saying. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So the word my signifies to God, correct? As you know, I'm just gonna carry on. The word my signifies to God. God exists, and then God then therefore must have a particular type of ontology. That is 100% true. There's no jumping there. Now, when we talk about God's ontology, there's a couple of views. But only one of those views can be
Ontology
true,
means being.
right? Only one of those views can be true. Either that God is divinely complex or he's divinely simple. Those are the only 2 views.
No.
Oh, there is not. Present another view. Go ahead, tell me. You know more about metaphysics than me. Tell me.
Stop.
So,
Let me speak.
So, from what I've just said
Let me
so far,
speak.
reply to exactly
So,
what I've
so
said.
far,
Uh-huh.
this is
What's the
exactly
alternative
again and
view?
again,
Yeah.
I asked you for, look, I am
Uh-huh.
being consistently
You are
throughout
not.
talking about a text that I quoted to you. And what are the clues
My.
in that text?
Okay,
Look,
notice
the word
that
my.
Mansour interrupted
shown you-
Rico
I've shown you
to
that.
answer his
No,
question
no,
and
no,
doesn't
no,
answer
no,
his
your friend
question.
thinks you're dumb.
Mansour
He's
keeps
coming.
appealing
This
to
is
the
rhetoric
text,
again.
presupposing
Why is it
sola
rhetoric?
scriptura, bro.
It's rhetoric.
Why is it that
Okay, what?
you have to come here?
He doesn't
Come
understand what we're
You
saying.
don't understand what
He-
he's
trust me.
saying.
We understand what he's
Yes,
saying.
the word my.
He has a loaded
If I see you-
presupposition.
if I see
It's
you-
a loaded
look,
question.
No.
It's a loaded question.
God-
He's presupposing sola scriptura.
If God said
Okay.
that I am God and I have 2 eyes,
That from that exact
Would you believe him?
script,
Yeah.
that we should find.
But you know how I would understand that? But you know how I would understand that?
Stop.
You know how I would understand
Let
that?
me explain
I know, but you
One
don't.
second,
You
sister,
don't understand.
sister,
Because
sister.
obviously,
It's very hard
Listen,
to
listen,
before
and
and past
even
listen
after.
carefully.
It says
I'm
things like
listening
If
from
God
you.
says
You're running away from what I
you're
said.
not
Jesus
listening
also
to my
believed
question.
in Jesus.
This is
If
what
God
happens when
says,
you're losing a
I
debate. You keep
have-
repeating the
I
same
have
question
2
over and over
eyes,
again
unlike
because you
anything
don't
of
like the
creation.
answer that you got the first
But I
time.
have them. Would you believe him?
Yep.
What would you understand by that?
I would understand that the words two eyes are analogically predicated to God's essence.
So basically, it doesn't matter what God said,
He can have a hand.
you would not accept what he says.
No, I did accept what he said.
Okay, if God says, I have eyes
Yeah.
with which I see
Yeah.
and not hear.
The
Yeah.
problem with that is,
Do you know what an entailment
What-
is?
what- what-
Do you know what an entailment
One moment. Let me.
I would accept.
Let me clarify. Let me clarify.
Well, not for its apparent meaning.
If God
I
said,
would accept
let
it,
me
not
clarify
for
my
its
question
apparent
first of all.
I know your question.
No, you don't.
Doesn't make-
Let
I
me
do
clarify
know
my
your
question.
question.
If God says, I have eyes with which I
Ask
see,
him how he understands
ears
Allah
with
had
which
eyes
I
and
hear.
hands in the hadith.
listen, are you listening? Eyes with which I see, ears with which I hear. Is God saying his eyes are the same as his ears?
No.
when you say he's
Okay.
God,
So what are the distinction between them?
you have to
Well,
understand that
one
God
thing is
cannot
going to have a
do
particular
evil
function,
in nature.
and the other thing is going to have a
God
particular
cannot do
function.
bad things,
But
right?
those
He's
functions
good.
are going to be understood
same thing.
analogically.
God cannot make
because God cannot
himself
literally
into-
have
What's the difference
physical
between these
eyes.
two?
Because he's
The difference is, so if God says I have eyes which I see, he's been talking about him understanding all of the forms that exist. So that's an intellectual understanding. And then when he talks about, for example, ears which I hear,
I'm not allowed to speak. Can I speak?
okay, let me just do it and then you can come. And when he talks about with eyes, ears with which I can hear.
What does it mean, ears?
Well, remember, when we talk about ears and
No, I
eyes,
don't know what it means linguistically. What do you mean ears?
what, in a colloquial manner? Ears.
Language. God speaking in language or not?
Yeah.
Good. So when God
But what
says,
language is he speaking?
One
What
second.
language is he speaking?
In- when
And
God
I don't mean the literal type of
careful.
language.
When
I'm
God
talking about
spoke in
philosophical,
Hebrew,
physical.
when God spoke in
Yes,
Hebrew,
God spoke
in Hebrew to Moses, and he says ears and eyes.
When we say things like,
What does
when
ears
God
mean
says
in the language?
come to me,
Ears
like
in
that,
language,
he's not talking
apart
about
from a
actual
metaphysical
back, like spinal
understanding,
cord.
are literally
He's talking
things that
about
animals have,
things like
that they use to hear things in the world. Now, when we
Because
apply
he's
those
not
things to
limited.
God, we apply them analogically. Why? Because God can't
As he
physically
said to
have
Mo-
ears.
as he said to
Why?
Moses,
Because if God physically has
"Innani-
ears, then He is physical.
innani
God cannot be
ma'akuma
physical because
asma'u wa
physicality is created.
If God says I'm physical, would you believe in him?
Of course not.
Oh, so you deny God even if he said I'm physical?
Yes, because that's not something
That's
God
it.
will ever
That's
say.
the end of discussion.
That's something
Bro,
that
You don't
Because you
believe in,
can't-
you don't believe in God?
What are you
Even if you
talking
said
about?
even if
If
God
God
said
said
I'm
God is
physical,
God is
okay, now I got you.
necessarily
I got you.
immaterial, man. So
Now we realize I'm going to let you speak.
The
Sheikh.
divine
I'm gonna
essence-
just- look,
He
look.
said, I'm going to let you, and he said, I'm
No,
going to
no,
let
no,
you.
no, Sheikh,
only
I'm
God
making
knows
my
what
last point.
constitutes.
Let's
You
hear.
are
Let's
so-
hear.
he's running.
You are
He's
so
running, bro.
incompetent.
Because he
listen.
did. Wait, Mansour, did you
I
answer
heard-
what it
I
means
heard
for
you.
Allah
I
to have
heard you.
two right hands?
I heard you.
What does it
You
mean for
said-
Allah to have
you
two right
said-
hands? You didn't answer that
you
question.
said-
Can you answer that question?
You said
You want to bring the conversation.